Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. I am your host Morea Legier, your fellow pawn of the patriarchy, and it has been brought to my attention that No Nut November is both misogynistic and a pathway to the far right, or some such nonsense. Luckily, I am not participating in No Nut November, and I can't understand anything anymore. This is Apocalyptic Recess. I came of age in an apocalyptic recess, a green screen schoolyard that scripted interactions with other kids where what was and was not allowed depended upon the screechy jammer of the blind and murky eye in the sky. The godhead of our illuminating teenaged madness that got us mad and gloomy, despairingly lost in the labyrinth, alternating between hunting or being hunted by the Minotaur. Not to run too fast, not to wrestle on the ground, not to play pretend battlefields mirroring open canvas history, but to buckle down, to defend and to pretend miscellaneous cataclysmic horror events never really happened as they did. That words spoken were not spoken or in fact ever thought, despite being spoken loudly and coherently through the smokescreen. An age of lies and of deceit where nothing ever meant what it really meant, where all was jumbled confusion. Wild, rubbed raw, running scared, broken and feral, snow melting on eyelids exposed to the sun, later to be targeted for brown-nosed brow-beating for our immediate and immaculate response to distant sing-song triggers that burnt the sky as well as the eye in the sky, where we should neither sing nor dance but fold our hands and lose our selfish selves in a death-rattled trance. Scorched earth, minds and nimble fingers burnt and buried, bruised and battered. Once we jumped to action in inaction, attempting to avoid the plague that killed the wild forest growing in our mind and in our mind's eye, so that our childhood eyes that had their gaze thrown to the ground in shame and in regret and dutiful neglect should be clouded by the grim, death's grin of the eye in the sky that would burn a hole in our souls and in our lust and laughter to send us spiraling down. Such a fall and such a tumble from the playing fields that leveled all our spastic muscles, toned to peak efficiency in young boy minds that screamed and dreamed and creamed in anguish, torn apart by clashing waves and tyrant songs, whose vibrating vibrato voices swooned and gasped in two-toned harmony at the mere whisper of the word pussy, or even worse, the word cunt. The shaking fists and trembling lips conspired to the rat-faced shaming of our budding sexuality. For we were not to raise our arms in gratitude to the spring rays of the sun, or the smiles of alluring teen-aged beauty, nor to appreciate the forms and shapes that came to bloom in sudden summer winds. We were left instead to celebrate the dim rays of the winter sun that cast such shades of doubt in the neurotic tragedy of our puberty-induced psychosis that shook the travesty, the co-poked lunacy of long lingering hatred and despotic fear of male sex and sexuality, of what was considered brute boyish fumblings in the dark, naught but inexperience and clumsy attempts at flirting in actuality, yet painted and presented as peak misogyny or sexual entitlement in the dawn of the present-day oppressive clown world insanity, where sexuality is wrong except when it is right, which is, well, whatever, never mind. Smells like teen dispirit. Here we are now, vivisect us. And we sat chained and locked in dim sleep beneath arching cavernous roofs and watched the stars align to our demise to be taught the terrors and the horrors, the errors and the worries of our raging boner, our holocaust-inducing hard-on, the simplistic stupidity and egotistical nature of our fornication desires, where a penis was doubtlessly nothing but an implement of rape and of oppression, a hymen-blasting shotgun spray-painted the colors of beastly lust and animal instinct. As was also the case regarding our perceived lack of emotional maturity, a ghastly grim guffaw whipping us across the backs for our crude humour and ravenous roguelike laughter. For us to cross the lines of good taste and decency was such a trespass that the sheltered, shaded, safe zone minds that numbed themselves with safe and sheltered, shaded, safe zone entertainment swooned and gasped and swindled their way into the limelight to point their wagging fingers at us and beat us down for insubordination in our intrasexual communication, our bullshit talk and private jokes, shooting us for revolution, for devolution, for having a sense of humour different from the scorned and ever so offended horde words that ruled the discourse then and would later come to rule the discourse even more in fumbling, babbled, crocodile-teared shock and horror at the state of the woe and of the worry of the world. This ball-blasting, mind-melting meddling in the private sphere where none but those who ultimately were intimately involved ought to have words to say and deeds to do, is par for the course in the intertwined and intermingled hive-mind perspiration that drips like blood from rotting gums that cannot stand the shock of people acting on their own, being non-programmed by the engineers of this unavoidable Armageddon, the downfall and demise of our all and own and one and all. The self-proclaimed and chosen Institute for Higher Morality have unleashed the hounds of war, have set hell's gates open and let loose the hordes of hell to burn and bring to ruin all that once was and ever will be, to tear down and never rebuild, to bomb, burn, bruise and batter all who oppose the high-flying fancy of their Ministry of Morality, their Department of Kind and Inclusive Mob Rule and Social Death, their police of political duplicity and virtue hidden in their folded hands and dead-eyed grimaced grins that claim vacuous public decency, to be laid down upon the heads and shoulders of all but them, for they are above the law and above the rules. Y'all gotta play by the rules as we present them, but we don't have to. One cannot expect to find common decency in those who rage and roar about the lack of common decency. Such arrogance is invisible to those in the throes and hysterical displays of smug, self-righteous arrogance, virtue and morals, and wise words more vacuous and wild than the gloomy depths of teen-aged goth poetry written in the dark by candlelight vigils for the soul they wish they had not sold for political correctness, where double standards are the only standards they hold, a truth visible to all but themselves. Thank you very much for watching. Here follows an outro most befitting a video of this nature, a blatant attempt at virtual panhandling. Should you wish to support this channel, as well as my blog and any further endeavours this strange path will take me on, there are a few ways you can do that. The easiest would be to like, share and subscribe, as well as clicking the sometimes functional notification bell. Having the message, such as it is, manspread and mansplained far and wide will do wonders. You could also support my rambling and barely contained insanity by buying my books, which are linked below. More books will be made available as time allows. I also have a Redbubble shop, linked below, where you can buy prints in various forms of some of the artwork presented in my videos. Or you can contact me through the contact form on my blog for original artwork, commissions or prints direct from the source, so to speak. Until next time, I am your humble bearded bard, Morea Legier, manspreading majestically beneath the steel sky of doom.